Hi everyone, welcome back to Empowering the Artist Within. I'm so excited today. We are joined by the absolutely gorgeous and my favourite person, Kaiser Hart. Thank you for being here, Kaiser, again.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here again. I love your podcast, obviously. So I'm really happy, really excited.
Oh, thank you. It's such a treat to have you. I love chatting to you, obviously, as you know. So it's so nice. I just thought it'd be really nice for us to have a catch up because it's been a busy couple of months for us both. And I thought it'd be lovely for us to kind of chat about what we've been doing and kind of just catch up and tell everyone what we've been up to. Because it's nice just to kind of listen to people's conversations and hear like what they've been doing. And so thought, yeah, it'll be a nice way to for us to catch up and for people to hear, basically to listen in, really, listen to our
Yeah,
conversation.
absolutely. That type of podcasts are my favorites anyway. So, where people just chat and it's just nice to listen in and you feel like you're in the chat with them, and having a little conversation. I respond in my head and they can't obviously hear me, but I feel like I'm in it. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I love on Art Juice when Alice and Louise always had those kind of catch up episodes and you just got to hear about what they'd been up to. I really enjoy those. So that was kind of
Same.
my thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you have been so busy with a fabulous summit, which was your first one that you joined. So it's not something that you've run, but it's one that you've joined. And I'm really keen to hear about how it went and what kind of how it felt to be in a summit because that's the first one. I've not done one yet. I'd love to. If anyone's listening and they want either of us on on their summits for
Yeah.
art journaling for Kaiser and for digital art for me, then do reach out. We both love to be involved. So that's a little like shout out, self promotion. Why not?
Yeah. Why
But
not?
yeah, I'd love to. So, do you want to tell everyone what the summit was and a little bit about it? Because I'd love to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was amazing, an incredible experience for me. There were 26 teachers altogether,
That's a lot.
creating free lessons for everyone to enjoy. And now it has proceeded into a year-long course. And that's already started, and everyone's, creating, and it's really inspiring, and just such a lovely bunch of people joined the course and the free weekend of the summit as well. And as you said, it was my very first one, so I was so excited to to be accepted to join. And Galia, who organizes the Art is Magic Summit, it's called the Make Create Express. She's just incredible, absolutely a stunning, gorgeous person. I was just so excited to be a part of it. And shout out to Galia. And honestly, it's been a really lovely experience. And I think there's something really special about this summit because it's all about art and creativity for self-care and how to, not to focus on the outcome and more like enjoying the process. And that's what we're all about as well. So it was the perfect fit. And I watched all the lessons, all the free lessons, and I'm going to follow along throughout the year. There's going to be weekly lessons from all the artists as well. So I'm really excited to learn a lot myself as well and just enjoy creating because it's a different thing to create, I guess, for not just content, but I guess I am quite aware often that if what I'm doing will be for Instagram or for YouTube or
Yeah.
whatnot. So it's quite a different feeling just to create for myself, and I can just enjoy watching someone else's video rather than making my own. So it's such a treat to be involved in something like this.
Yeah, because like I totally get what you're saying. Like even though when you're creating content, you're creating it for yourself,
Yeah.
it's still like you kind of just got that slight awareness that you're
Yes.
filming it and you want it to be for a certain kind of thing. Like it might be for your membership, which we'll talk about soon, or it might be for this summit, or it might be content for YouTube or something like that. So you're kind of just acutely aware of like what you're saying or what you're doing,
Yes.
or you're thinking about what you might create in a certain way or whatever. Like, oh, should I do these marks? And but you're talking through your process, which obviously is great, but like it doesn't give you that like complete freedom, that complete mindful. Like that's why we got into art in the first place, and we talked about that in both when we in our episodes when we both talked about our stories. It being such a healing thing for us. And I love that when you said about the summit being like this healing, um,
Yeah,
kind of self-care, like that's the idea behind every single person that they've got. And I think that is so beautiful because to be able to have like a year-long program where you're learning from different artists, so you've got so many different kind of ways of being able to create, but it's all based in it being for healing, for the process, for yourself. Like, oh, that just sounds like an absolute dream.
I know, incredible. Yeah. And it's just wonderful as well because all the teachers are quite different. So there are so many different techniques and so many different methods that you learn. And it's just such a lovely mixture of people, I think, and mixture of, creative styles. And then there's people that are, I guess, newer, you could say, to the scene, if you can call it that. And then there are more established people who have done several summits and courses and that kind of thing. So it's really fun to see different styles of teaching as well. So not just the art styles, but I think it is such a treat, like you said, and it's been really interesting. And the course is open all year round, so even if you've missed out on the free weekend, you can still come and join us. So I'm sure we can probably add a link somewhere or wherever you put the
Definitely.
links in the
Yeah.
podcast world. And yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say that when you were talking about Galia, we'll pop her links in
yeah,
the notes, and obviously your links, and then the link to signing up. Because I was going to ask you that if it's still open. So if
yeah.
people join kind of late, do they get that summit? Because obviously they've missed that free retreat, that free summit. So what do they get access to if they were to join, let's say now, even though it's already sort of started?
hmm So if you join now, you'll get everything. So everything that was included in the free weekend, and then all the weekly courses or the lessons throughout the year. And I think the number was 78 plus lessons. So it's
Wow.
an
Is that for
abundance
the
of,
year
of
and
lessons.
the free summit?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
all together. So there will be so much inspiration to enjoy. And we just had a discussion about this actually in my membership. And people were saying that sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming. And what I've done myself is I've given myself the permission to do the ones that are really calling for me. So instead of trying to be the grade A students like
Yeah.
I used to be, the perfectionist that I'm still struggling with, I'm actually just going to watch the lessons that I feel like this is intriguing. This looks great. I'm going to do that today. And then, I can always come back and do the rest later if I feel like it. So that I think helps with the overwhelm, that you can just give yourself permission to do whatever you like. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be, you really don't need to do them all. You get to decide.
Yeah.
So I think that helps personally, at least. So it's a total abundance of inspiration in there.
I love that. And obviously I was in that conversation where we were talking about how difficult it is and how difficult it is to have um a like a year long course when you're getting something like every week and trying to keep up. And I have done that a few times with a couple of courses where I've had that. And initially, and we were talking about this before we kind of recorded, like initially you've got this, and also in the membership, this came up as well. You've got this like excitement and you're like, oh, this is new. And you've got this enthusiasm and motivation because it's all new and exciting. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do every single lesson. And, you see people that like I've seen before where people have like that, like a particular journal or sketchbook for that
Mm,
course. And then they show it in the group. And I'm one of those people like you're saying, like, I want to do that. I want to do every single lesson. I want to have this beautiful book. I want to have a page for each lesson, and so that I can go back with notes and reminders. Yeah, that
Yeah.
just doesn't happen. That is not the type of person I am. I lose my enthusiasm, I lose motivation. I might do like 2 or 3 weeks and then I miss a couple and then I can't catch up. And then I don't know whether to start on the week that it is now or whether to go back and carry on from the one that I like missed so that I'm doing it in order. And it's like, then all of a sudden you're in overwhelm and you're so like, confused, and then you don't know where to go, and you kind of almost kind of give up because you're like, well, I don't even know what to do now. So I love that you said that you're gonna give yourself grace and actually you're just gonna do the ones that call to you. And
Yeah,
I think that is
absolutely.
such lovely advice for people because I think signing up for a year-long course can be overwhelming, especially, I mean, I joined the free retreat and or the summit, sorry, and that's what I did because I knew it was only open for a weekend. I only had a few. Obviously, I wanted to see yours. And then I just looked through the titles and the ones that I thought were interesting. I kind of thought, oh, well, they're the ones that I'll have a look at because I'm not missing out because I'm gaining from what I'm going
Exactly.
to watch and listen to. So I think for anyone that's either joined or kind of like in that position, thinking about that kind of being in that kind of course or situation, I think that's really lovely way of thinking about it and just giving yourself the kind of grace and slowness of just saying, just pick the ones that you fancy and spend as long as you like doing them.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's really beautifully set up by Gali as well that, you can see all the images and you can pick and choose. So if something looks, exciting, you can go ahead and pick that one and you don't have to go in and, explore the whole video to see what the outcome is going to be. So you can really pick and choose your projects. And I think you just said it perfectly that you're not actually missing out, even if you don't do every single one. And who knows, maybe you get so inspired that you will end up doing every single one. But even if you don't, it doesn't really matter. You're still
Yeah.
going to gain so much. And I think that's the beauty of these events. And also, the other, I guess you could call it a beauty of these events as well, is the community. So you get to come in and just enjoy that creative atmosphere and really soak in, and all that
Yeah.
beautiful creative inspiration that you can see in the group and people sharing their work. And I think that alone is worth it. And obviously these big events they're a total bargain, aren't they? Because you get
Yeah.
so much value for your money. But there's so many nice things about it. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to have this experience and hopefully I can do it again.
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously I'm not in the main one, so I've not seen your videos, but the one from the summit was fabulous, like absolutely beautiful. And your art journal pages for the 3 lessons that you've got in there, I mean, they are just such a treat. They are absolutely beautiful. So
Oh, thank you so much.
definitely encourage people to have a look at, even if it's because they love your work and what you offer, because they are really, really gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. I loved making them. And it was a while ago that I made them, so it feels quite funny that, you have to obviously prep in advance and get everything sorted and that kind of thing. So it's quite fun to look at them now because it's been a wee while. And really, really fun seeing people, enjoying the lessons. So it's been an absolute treat for sure.
Yeah, and also like recreating their own
Yeah.
pages from, and I find this in in the membership, it's amazing. Like I love seeing everyone's work, and like you say, you get such inspiration from being in the community. And I talk about community all the time as being like one of the most important factors, I think, in being able to continue with your art, that you don't feel alone and having support and encouragement. But I love that when people share their journal pages where they've been inspired from watching you, and they're all so different. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's got their own unique style, voice, way of creating, and you're it's not really like a tutorial the way you create, especially in the membership. It's very much more like just create with me, and you kind of chat through like your process. And we both now are very intuitive in the way that we create. And I know for me, I certainly wasn't like that. And I don't think you were either. And definitely Louise Fletcher had a huge impact on both our creativity in terms of, allowing us to be intuitive, learning what that even means, and creating in a way that you feel safe and comfortable to kind of just express yourself freely and just trust that, just trust the process, really. Like, I know
Mhm.
it's so cliche, but it's so true. Like, trust in, like, you want to just pick whatever color's calling to you, whatever paint's calling to you, whatever is calling to you at that time. And you are so good at kind of showing that process so that other people can do the same. So it's not so much like, right, well, let's put butterflies on our page and let's use these words on our page. And yes, you might provide those materials, or people might want to directly copy, and that's absolutely fine. But it's very much about like, oh, I found this like dish thing that you use to kind of like rest the spoons on when when you've washed your dishes or whatever, and it's got like these, it's that'll make an interesting art material. Let's put that in some paint, let's see what marks that makes. Oh, well, now I fancy using this thing that I found, that makes really interesting marks, and then layering it up and just kind of showing people that like you can't really go wrong, because whatever you create, you're just going to keep going until you get something you like. And actually, if you feel like you're at a point where you want to stop, you can leave that page for another day until you get more inspiration and go on and start something else. And so yeah, I love, love, love that about your process, and about like how your tutorials are like less like tutorials and more like, just kind of create along with me.
Mm. That's so lovely to hear, because I really try to make a point that in the membership, it's not about step-by-step tutorials or anything like that. It's more about really igniting that creativity, which is totally unique for all of us. So, like you said, it's
Yeah.
so fun to see people watch the videos and create something that's totally unique to them, something that looks like them and not like my work, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So there's going to be, inspiration and maybe some techniques or whatnot that they kind of pick up on and then run and do their own thing, with it. So that's the most inspiring part of it for me, to see how people just make things their own.
Yeah.
And it's I just feel like it's the best part of the membership to see people come in, get inspired, and then create something totally unique.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's like, that's testament to you, because I don't think that's an easy thing to do. I think Louise does it really, really well. And that's one of the things that I think we were both drawn to, was that it wasn't a tutorial. It was, it's very hard to show your process and not teach your process, if that
Mm,
makes sense. So that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing it that way at all. Like, I've taken plenty of courses where I have, it's the exact process of somebody else, and you learn so much from that, particularly ones I've done where I'm doing like things like portraits, because I love drawing. And, there are techniques that you need to learn, and learning somebody else's process is really, really helpful in that. And then, you build on all those things, and that creates your own style. But I do think it's quite it's hard to do, to kind of learn to get to that stage where you're showing what you do, but allowing other people to kind of take from that and create their own thing. And I just love that. And I think you do it really, really well. And it's like a treat because it's a bit like we were saying at the beginning of this podcast, like it's so nice to just listen to somebody's conversation and to hear like, you don't hear enough about what artists do day to day, and how what they're doing in their lives. And when we get busy, it's quite hard to show up on social media because you are busy, you might not really know what to share, or you just kind of don't really have time to think, so you kind of just don't. I mean, I know that's true of me. I'm trying to be really intentional now, but I know it sometimes when I just get so busy, that's the thing that gets pushed out because I can't think about what I want to tell or show people. And I just think that that's something that, yeah, you just do really well, and it's really refreshing because you can watch your videos and it's just like you're creating with somebody, like you'd be in a studio together and you're just kind of like chatting and they're creating, and that kind of sparks your inspiration or your motivation. Because a lot of us, when you're on your own, you might put on a podcast or like a recording from, we're in memberships, you can put a recording on from that and listen to that. So I feel like it's like your studio buddy. That's
Yeah.
like really nice, like quite nice.
Yeah, I love that idea. And, that's what I wanted to achieve as well in the membership, that instead of watching a step-by-step tutorial, people can put the video on and start creating. So at
Yeah,
the beginning of each video, I try to encourage everyone to go to the desk and put the video on and start creating with me. So it does feel like we're in the studio together. And also, I think the mindful part of it really helps with encouraging people to do their own thing. So it's
yeah,
not about creating a finished piece at any point. And you can do this in an art journal, you can do it on canvas, you can do it on paper. It doesn't really matter how you do it. You can draw, you can do portraits in this, with this sort of mindful creating, method. You don't need the
mm,
art journal necessarily, or you can work in a sketchbook. That's what I really love about it, that it's so versatile. And you can really, as long as you're doing it mindfully and thinking about the choices that you're making, that's all it takes. And the outcome doesn't really matter because you will start really enjoying the process as you go because it's so relaxing. It's just incredibly relaxing. So how could you not enjoy it? And
yeah,
I've realized that the more that I do it this way, the slower I'm getting, if that makes sense. So when I create, I'm actually incredibly slow. And I can take ages creating one page, but I can do it 10 minutes at a time. Just one layer
yeah,
today, and then tomorrow I'll keep building on it, and layer by layer, it kind of reveals itself. And like you mentioned before, that you can just, leave it and come back to it and do whatever you like. So there's no, often I think what can be quite stressful and put people off is to when you feel that you have to do or create something finished in a session, if that
yeah,
makes sense. But
definitely.
then if I'm not totally inspired right now and I don't really know what I want to do, like should I paint a landscape, or should I do a portrait, or should I maybe do some botanicals, or what should I do? That puts me off. Then I'm not
Yeah,
going to create anything. But if I can come and sit down and I can feel, or I know that I can just create one layer. I can play with some ink, I can play with some paint, I can take that old dishwashing tool and make some marks on the page, and that's enough.
yeah,
And that totally, to me, changes the energy completely.
definitely,
And you can
definitely.
just actually enjoy that little pocket of creating rather than feeling that I have to produce something worthy.
Yeah. And I think we just get so in our heads about it, don't we? Especially like, I think now that I'm at this stage with you where we have that kind of way about approaching our art, I think we can confidently talk about this. But, when I first started and came back to it and I wasn't, I didn't think I had an I didn't think I had an imagination. I just thought like I'm not imaginative. I can only copy. I can take a photograph or, a picture and I can copy it. I don't know how to create that in any other way. And obviously it's taken a long time of being in memberships and doing courses to and YouTube videos and all the rest of it to learn all of that and to confidently be able to actually sit down without having that thought of I have to produce something good at the end, I have to produce something worthy, there has to be an outcome. But once you take that away, like you say, it completely changes because let's be honest, that's why we came back to it in the first place.
Yeah,
But somewhere along the way, all that old stuff and all those beliefs and everything that we've learned comes into play, and you kind of forget why you started in the first place. You kind of like lose all that and you become so wrapped up in like being good or
hmm
creating something good or putting something on Instagram that looks good. And all of a sudden, that whole like creating just because it feels good, just because you enjoy it, and it doesn't actually matter how long it takes, how long you spend there. Um, it goes. And I think we're starting now, even though, don't get me wrong, we still have these conversations all the
oh yeah,
time.
oh yeah, all the
But
time.
definitely, we are definitely starting to remind ourselves that being slow, taking a few minutes a day, if we don't have a whole, hour or, you don't need hours, inevitably you get carried away and you do spend more time. And all of a sudden you
Yeah,
find the time that you thought you didn't have because you're so in
exactly.
flow that you carry on. But I think, that's something that I've definitely learned from you, and I love that you have in the membership is like, it's all about nurturing the spark. That's kind of like your um where you started with the content that you've given us. It was all about having the courage to begin, which was like I took that and I've run with it. For me, like that's been a huge thing, like in starting the podcast, in talking about like my feelings and, our limiting beliefs and all of these things. That is key, having the courage to begin. And so it kind of came at the right time, that being the content. And I've kind of run with that, with it being like around a series of work about thinking about courage, thinking about being vulnerable. How do we begin? How do we just try, just show ourselves, just show up? And then this month you're talking about nurturing that spark of creativity. And I created a piece yesterday, which I just love, and I loved the process. And I never meant to take it to completion, but because I was like enjoying it and I was in the process so much, I was working really intuitively. I was just kind of taking inspiration from the collage papers that you gave us, taking inspiration from the journaling prompts, from the affirmations that you gave us. And before I knew it, I'd created this journal page, which I absolutely love, digitally, I might add. And I absolutely love it. And it was, I think the words I chose were something about going at your own pace. Like it's okay to go slowly and to create at my own pace. And we have to remind ourselves of that, don't we?
hmm Yeah, absolutely. I think you made a really good point earlier about, these step-by-step tutorials that they obviously most definitely have their own time and place. Like I've done plenty of courses, being a part of as a student where you literally copy the teacher and you learn different techniques. And I think that's so important and that's totally valid if
Mm,
people, prefer to
absolutely.
do it that way. It doesn't really matter as long as you can kind of ease into the process and let go of the not just the outcome, but also I guess the fear of mistakes. So
Yeah.
perhaps you do something, you follow the teacher step by step, and you do something and it doesn't actually look the same. That's happened to me many, many, many
Yeah.
times.
Me
They
too.
make it look so effortless, and then I try it and it's a complete mess. So trying to embrace that mess and seeing it as part of the process, I think that's the key. Really, it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter which way you want to create because a lot of people want to just follow. the tutorial because that kind of takes the thinking out of it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Then I think eventually you will start sort of developing your own style and you'll become more confident, like you mentioned as well. So you'll know what to do next without that tutorial. And then in the community, I've really loved reading, the members' posts on Facebook where they've mentioned that they can go back in their own art journals now and look for inspiration. So they can
Yes.
look at their own work and feel inspired as they're creating a new page on the art journal. So you don't have to go on YouTube anymore and look for, a tutorial or look for pictures on Pinterest. You can go in your own art journal and have a look what's in there and like, oh my gosh, I love that. I'm going to actually use that technique, which I totally had forgotten about, and I'm going to use that on this page now. And then just start sort of running with it eventually, and it'll become easier and easier to add that mindful aspect into it as well. I think it's all a process and it might take weeks for some, months, maybe years. And I think we can all get there if that's something that we want to do. But for me, I think the main gain in a way that I've ever gotten out of it is just that feeling of creative freedom, I guess, if you could put it that way.
Yeah.
And it's just so liberating.
Yeah, I think art journaling did that for me because I think sketchbook for some reason just had connotations around being proper, being
Same.
like, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know what that is. I don't know if that came from school, but it felt like in the sketchbook it has to be like not good, but like something specific. Like maybe yeah, like maybe a drawing or, even though I tried to have like a studio companion, I think that's something that Louise kind of talked about, having like a studio book and when you're working on like a series of work, like, put paint colors that you like in and make annotations and that kind of thing. But it wasn't really an expressive place for me. And I know that's ridiculous because it's a book, the same as an art
Mm,
journal is just a book. It's nothing different. But I think the when I was introduced to art journaling, it just suddenly felt like a complete freedom of expression, like a place where you could really just make whatever you wanted, make whatever marks you wanted, and just be free to express yourself.
yeah.
Like eventually, like if I look at some of the pieces, really since doing like your free course and your paid course and the membership, like how what I've learned from you, my art journaling has developed to the point now where I can make finished art journal pages and I think they look amazing and I love them. But when I first started, it was just a case of like scribbling or, taking some crayons and just making marks. And then, yeah, I was layering, but it didn't look like anything. It was just a total mess and I didn't quite know
Yeah.
how to move that forward. But the point was still that it was like, I think people don't necessarily know what you mean when you talk about an art journal. And it can be really anything, but it is just a place to express yourself through making marks, really, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's such a private place as well. The whole idea of a visual diary, I find just so, I don't
Yeah.
know, intriguing. I think it's just such a lovely idea. And I always loved to journal when I was younger. And now adding this visual side of it, it's just perfect because it's not just text that might be in there, which I
Yeah.
always scribble so no one can read it back, or I hide my whatever I've journaled under the layers, so I don't have to worry about anyone reading my thoughts, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I just
totally.
find it so because the textures tell their own story as well.
Yeah.
So with the
Like a history.
paint and exactly with all of that, you can also just, I guess, describe in a visual way how you're feeling in that given moment. And usually that feeling shifts. So I might start a session feeling totally flat, totally drained, uninspired. And then as I go on, it's actually, the whole mood has completely changed. And I think
Totally.
that's the beauty of it. And I feel exactly the same about sketchbooks. So it's really interesting how,
It's really
why are our journals such a freeing, liberating place, but sketchbooks feel totally different? It's really
it's,
interesting.
it is so funny. And you know though, as well, so I've got a concertina sketchbook, you know, the one that like opens out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you'll remember this, but so I bought it. I think I was maybe did like Karen Stamper, I did some of her courses and she uses Constantina sketchbooks a lot and I really enjoyed them. One of the mistakes I made when I first came back to art was buying A4 sketchbooks. They were just too big. So when I was doing Karen Stampers, it was like very small. I loved it, you know, little pieces of paper that you kind of pulled out and they were like, you know, quite small. And I filled them and I really enjoyed it. So I thought I'm going to buy a concertina sketchbook, but I bought like an A4 one and it was just massive. It was just too big. I just didn't
Mm,
know what to create in there. And I started doing some painting and scribbling. I didn't really like the colors I'd chosen or anything. And then I just left it because I just did not know what to do with it. I had this whole concertina sketchbook and I just didn't know how to use it. And then you ran your, like, I think it was like the first free retreat that you did that went into the course. And you provided affirmations and we would art journaling. We were journaling in our art journals. And the idea was really to kind of just take maybe one or two of the words and add them into the page. And then also you showed, like you were saying, about doing your journaling, either writing and then covering it up or writing in a way that you were getting the thoughts out, but not actually, it wasn't legible,
hmm.
so no one can read it because you don't need to read it back once it's out, it's
Yeah.
out. So you had these kind of two versions of using words in the art journal. And I've always struggled to actually journal because I just find it boring. But doing it, um, it's so helpful. Totally get it. But there is definitely a disconnect between opening a white blank page
Oh,
and
yeah.
just writing. But having your art
Sure.
journal, totally different because then it adds a visual level and texture to your work. So that makes it more exciting and enticing. Um, so I kind of amalgamated those two things because I still wasn't quite ready, and I often am not. You know, I still find it quite hard to kind of like write my thoughts. So I kind of put that with the affirmations that you provided, and I started writing them on this page. So it already had paint on it, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I took all different sizes of Posca pens and biros and marker pens. And before I knew it, I had this like concertina, and and actually need to go back and continue it because that's something that I'm enjoying kind of adding to this concertina page of just writing at these beautiful positive words, phrases, affirmations. And that is like, you know, that is that mindset shift of having this sketchbook where I just didn't know what to do with it because it was a sketchbook, but moving into using it as an art journal and being able to express myself freely. Nobody ever has to see it, although I have used it in my digital work, but you know, that's a separate thing. And it's just so interesting, isn't it? That kind of just shift of what words we use and what they mean to us and how we can kind of like move through that or how we can create something by using a different word or a different kind of modality. Like it's mad.
Isn't it incredible? It's just
Yeah.
incredible. I remember that concertina book very well. It was amazing. And I would love to see you continue, working on it and
I will.
share in the community because it was so inspiring. And I remember it so well when you joined the pre-retreat and then the course, and you really just ran with it, with
Yeah.
the affirmations, and that became a whole thing for you. And it was incredible to see that because it's really interesting. Like, I have my process, and this is how I do things, and I want to share it to people with people because I love it, and I hope that other people will connect with it as well, and it might help them. And then you come along, and they come along and pick something out of that process and make it their own completely, like you've done with the affirmations. I could have never envisioned that. I didn't
Yeah.
think anyone would, do that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But that's the beauty of it because you just can't predict what might happen when you put yourself out there. And this goes for everyone, even if you don't do our courses and you just maybe share your work with your friends or in the community or on Instagram. You just never know who might see it and feel really inspired and just take something and make it their own. So I think it's worth just putting yourself out there and sharing in that way. And you are doing that. And now that's sort of spiraled into your incredible digital art. Like, can you imagine if someone had told you that a year ago,
Yeah.
that this is what you will be creating today?
Yeah,
Would you have
exactly.
even believed it?
No.
Yeah.
And you the same. Like if you think about the impact that's had for both of us, like like you say, like you can't imagine or predict the impact that you could have on yourself or somebody else by showing up
Yeah.
because by you putting yourself out there, you've given that gift to me, which you could never have known that that would happen. And obviously not just me, other people that have experienced your membership or your tutorials, your YouTube, anything that you've put out there, they're experiencing it in their own way, and that's giving them inspiration, and then their work's moving in a certain direction because they've got that inspiration. So for you, that's huge. But then for me, the impact that creating with you and watching you, listening to you, learning from you has had, like, I said to you the other day, you're my muse, like literally, like every time, like I kind of get to like a bit of a plateau, like you come along and then you offer me something else, and it's like I go in like another direction. And it's like the affirmations were a huge thing for me. That was massive because you opened something up for me that I didn't even know that I needed. I didn't know I was going to want to include, and that created such an amazing like expression for me, an amazing inspiration. And I ran with that for so long. And then now that I've kind of moved into the digital art, not that I'm not doing the other art anymore, I am. I love doing that, but I do really enjoy the digital work. And now, since being in the membership, it's like having that courage to begin, that came from you. That's the affirmations that you shared and like the initial kind of beginning of your membership. And so, again, you've shown up in that way. And for you, that's helping you in so many different ways because you're inspiring other people, but also you're showing up for yourself. You're taking the courage to begin this membership. And then for me, it's like, I took the courage to start this podcast, and
Hmm.
that's having an effect for me. And I'm showing up in in a certain way. And then I've taken that almost as like my new series of work. So it's like that I've created now about I think 4 or 5 pieces all around having the courage to begin. And again, like that's come from you. So yes, I was creating and I did Drew Steinbrecker's Digital Art Summit, which was amazing because I really love digital art and I have taken a course to like first of all I just kind of learned it myself. I was just using Procreate, learning all the different tools. Then I started thinking I want to take this a bit more seriously, so I bought a course which kind of delved into like more of the specifics of the program and like the software and what you can do on it and that kind of thing. And then this digital art summit came about, and I thought, well, that could be really interesting because actually I've not really looked at any other digital artists. I don't really know what people are doing. So that would be interesting because I've got this side of this technical knowledge now, but actually I've not got the creative side of like what else can I do within that app that can move my art forward. And so I've done that, and then that's kind of like taken my art to the next level. I feel
Mm.
like in the same way with the art journaling, like I can look back at my digital work when I first started using Procreate and now, and it's just like poles apart. And that's what you were saying earlier, like, if you want to kind of like get better and improve and like you've got to practice and kind of just keep showing up because the more you show up and the more you show people and the more you kind of like get a bit brave, like the more you kind of feel encouraged and you want to do more, I think, and it kind of just gives you like more inspiration. So,
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah, it's exactly the same. You're practicing with your digital art, it's exactly the same as practicing with your actual art supplies, isn't it? You
yeah,
have to keep practicing. You need to know how to use your application, but then, you also need to know how to use your inks and how to use your paints if that's what you want to do. And you won't learn unless you learn, you make an effort to learn, maybe from tutorials or by just experimenting and having fun. But that's, I think, exactly the same. Like you just have to, like you said, show up for your creativity and take that time. And even if it's, just 10 minutes a day, it's perfect. That will add up.
yeah. And I love what you said earlier about like, when you initially when you take those courses, it's like it takes the thinking out of it for you. And I know I did a lot of courses for that reason. I just
Yeah,
kept, there was like a bit of a time where I was like a serial course goer because it was like I didn't want to think about what to create. I didn't know where to start and I just didn't have the capacity to even think. So it was like by having this, I didn't have to think because I could just follow a tutorial. I could enjoy the art process without actually having to think about, well, what am I going to create? And now we've done that for so long. And then we've kind of done the other bit as well, where we've learned how to be intuitive, that actually now, yeah, with the thinking obviously comes in at a certain point if you want to take that work to completion, but you're definitely at a place now where you don't think to begin. Like you can just get your materials out, and the only thinking you're doing is which color or what material am I going to use, or you're questioning like what would happen if I use this, what would happen if I
exactly.
do this, and it's like so there isn't really a thinking until maybe towards the end where you're just like, right, I want to kind of finish this off. What would work to get this to completion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if you do it in a mindful way, it's not going to be stressful either. Because,
Yeah,
if you're trying to finish something, I think it can get a little stressful because you feel like this has to become something, this has to look like something, I have to produce a nice painting, that kind of thinking. But I think in art journaling and mindful art making, whatever your substrate might be, the thinking is a bit different, if that makes sense. So it's more like how do I feel like finishing this and what do I feel like putting on next rather than, oh my goodness, I have to finish this now. I need to do something to make it look perfect. I have to have a focal point. I never talk about focal points because I don't think it's important. I really don't. You can obviously create a focal point and do whatever you like on the page, but I don't think it's important. Because your
I think
page,
that really helped me
yeah,
because
it's
I,
equally perfect without it.
yeah,
You don't need it necessarily
and I
because it's
think,
set up.
I often come to you and say like for quite a long time that was my sticking point. And even last night when I was doing the piece I was doing last night, that piece, I was like, I was in my head, I was a bit like, I need a focal point here. And I think that kind of it does stop you because it's that kind of, that's that same thing. It's that expectation. It's like, the rule of thirds or, having like a particular composition. And I think that is also a really nice thing about art journaling. Like, yes, it has to compositionally work in that you start to learn what looks good together. And obviously, it's going to look a mess if everything's all over the place. But I've never really learned anything much about composition. I don't really understand it. And I'm sure it would help my art if I did know more about it. But I think that was the bit that always got me because I got to a certain point in my work and then I'd be like, I don't know how to finish it, I don't know where to go now. And then I'd always speak to you and you'd be like, just let the piece breathe, like just give it space. And then it might be ages before you come back to it, and that's fine. But when you do come back to it when you're ready, it will just tell you what it needs. And I know that sounds
Yeah.
so weird, but
Yeah,
it's so true. And when
it's
you
true.
take that focal point thing out, it's like, Yeah, like the one I finished yesterday. Yes, it's got some text and it's got some butterflies, and those were my finishing touches. But that's kind of how you talk about it. It's not about like, right, where's my focal point going to be? Right, that's going to be here. So this is where I
Yeah.
need to put this. And that's not how we work. That's not to say it's wrong. It's just that's not how we create. And sometimes we will have focal points, but it's not necessarily that we're thinking about it. It's just and I think having the idea of just finishing touches because you're building up your layers, you're making sure you've got texture. Now, the one thing I'm trying to do is making sure it's not too cluttered because I tend to throw everything in. So now I'm starting to look at that was one of the things Anna talked about because she's very minimal. So she talks about does it need to be there? So now I start to question at that point, like you say, you're not thinking, it's not like really taxing on your brain. It's just those little kind of, conversations with yourself like, okay, does this really need to be here? Can I lighten it up a bit? Is there enough space in there? Is it looking too cluttered? Like these kind of like questions, as opposed to, I need a specific thing right here. And then
Hmm.
it kind of comes in, and then you can kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, like I'd love to just have like a few little elements that just kind of bring it to completion and bring it up and finish it off.
Yeah, and it's really satisfying to finish something off, isn't it?
Mm.
And that's what we want to do. But I think another really fun thing to do, this might sound a bit scary for some people at first, but I really encourage you to try it out if you've never done it. Don't finish it. Like just don't finish the
Yeah,
page. Just leave it and move on to the next one. It can sound a bit like, oh, then I'm going to have unfinished pages in my art journal and it's not going to be perfect. This is kind of how I felt about sketchbooks, you know, but it's not going to be beautiful if I just put random colors in there and then it's going to look like a mess and it's not satisfying and I don't like it. What am I going to do with it? It's ugly. But
yeah,
in the art journal, for some reason, I don't actually care. I love having unfinished pages in there. I have loads of them. And if I feel like the energy has run out of the page, then I move on to the next one. There's no thinking about focal points or, is it too whatever? Should it be lighter or anything like that? I can just leave it and move on. And that is so liberating. You
definitely.
can come back to it just like you said. You can let it breathe for months. I've had pages that have been there for years, and then I come back to them and finish them, and that's okay. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, And it's also at that point in time, like we've talked
Mm,
about that many times, haven't we? It's like a
yeah.
diary entry on its own, that unfinished page, even though there are no words necessarily. It doesn't need words. It's like a visual image of that day in your life.
Yeah, I really like that way of thinking about it. And that is just so true that having those unfinished pages and then it just might like you also say like there might be like a time where you've not got very long and you don't have to start a page from scratch then because actually you can it's like that thing where you were saying before about the inspiration. Maybe you'll go back and there's an unfinished page and like you get inspired because you've like moved forward because it's like months later and so you've
Yeah,
got different ideas and actually you've got a starting point there for a new piece
exactly.
of work effectively. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. And that little challenge not to finish your page is not just for you, Liz, it's for everyone listening. So just to
yeah,
throw it out there, if you've never thought of it before, then why not? Give it a
show
go and
us your
see what
unfinished
happens.
pages.
Exactly. And I have to say, because if you're watching on YouTube, I think we are putting this on YouTube,
Yeah.
aren't we? There's your couple of beautiful paintings of yours, your digital art in the background. And I just wanted to say, like, your style is so unique. And I love how you incorporate all that positivity and all the affirmations and like the mixed media feeling into your digital work, which to me is just incredible.
Oh,
And you've
thank
actually gotten me really inspired about digital art. So I think that's something that I want to sort of explore just for myself as a hobby for me,
yeah,
creative hobby for me next.
yeah.
So
And I'm
I think it'll be
excited to show you
yeah.
and have a play because the thing that I've been doing recently is using your color. You give us free collage papers within the membership. Well, they're not free because you pay for the membership, but
Yeah.
like obviously within the membership, and I've started using those as like a starting point. adding them into Procreate and then layering them up. And that's been a really fun process. So that's something that I want to show people how to do, to kind of have their own like collage papers that you would normally then stick into your art journal, but actually just take a photograph of them before you do that. So you've got that record, and then you can play around with it in a digital way if you want to, because it is
Absolutely.
just, again, it's like quite liberating. I love the fact that you can move things, change things, erase things. You can change the layers, and that's really like the learning from that. Okay, yes, it's not permanent, but then it's just a different process. So it's really enjoyable to have a process where actually you can play with things, and because it's not permanent, you can erase it, you can change the layers to see like what's the effect if I put like the writing below at the bottom, or halfway or at the top. And you can start to play around with the transparency. You can change the color, but you can also change the transparency, so then you can like erase things, but you don't have to completely erase them. And I mean, the possibilities are just absolutely limitless. And I love that you've got that exploration, because it's just a completely different way of expressing yourself. And for me, like, especially because I'm like obviously busy with the kids and I might not have a huge amount of time. Like last night, as I'd started, I listened to the call back. You do like a monthly co-create call, and I managed to get on it for about 20 minutes, I think. So I thought, oh, I was really excited to listen to it back and then create. So I found a little slot to do that before I went to pick up from school. And then because I'd got so inspired with what I was doing, and there was a quiet moment at home, I just kind of ran with it, picked up my iPad and carried on. I get so carried away, I don't realize the time, and then I'm late for dinner, and all
Yeah.
these all these things. But all I have to do then is just close the iPad and I can get on. I have literally still got sponges with dried up paint in the utility room sink, because I just don't know what to do with them, because I don't want to throw them out. But I didn't wash them properly straight away. So the paint's dried. And it's just like, I've just left them. I've just left them for months. It's so bad. But when I'm on the iPad, I don't have to worry about that, because I can just close it and then carry on with it another time. And I love that.
Yeah. It's so funny that the process is so similar but so different. So you
Yeah,
can, erase anything, remove a layer, or try things out and see what happens. And it's exactly the same with in the art journal, isn't it? Because
yeah,
I always keep saying that nothing's permanent until you say so. So
yeah.
anything that happens on the page, you can pretty much erase. So sometimes you can even you can just wipe off the paint. And even if it's dried, sometimes you can scrub it off. Like, it depends what kind of paints and material you've got there. And then you can also erase things by adding another piece of collage on top, and it's gone. It's the same, isn't it?
Okay.
Removing layers in a way, but it's just a different kind of process. But I love it. It's very, very similar and just so liberating, both of
And
them.
I think you learn a lot through both of them, especially like because you're free to practice. So things like we both love using like baby wipes, you can use that to remove paint. You can use the water. I know one of your favorite things is your water
Oh,
spray,
yeah.
and it
I love
removes
it.
paint. I remember watching, I can't remember what artist it was. Um, and he did who's the one that does the outside, everyone does uh Lewis, no, not Lewis, and he does like
Oh,
outside sketches, and
I
then
know
he
who you mean.
rips out bits of his sketch and then uses that in his. I have to try and find the name and put it in the notes. I can't
Yeah,
remember
it's
his
just escaped me. I know
name.
how. Louis Noble?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Oh, just
Well
came. Yeah.
done. Thank you. I'll put his links in. Um, he's great, and he's got some videos on YouTube showing like him removing paint, and how that's as important as putting it on. And again, such a mindset shift. It's like, oh my
Yeah,
God, that's amazing. Like you can put the paint on, and actually when you remove it, it creates like these lovely effects, and you see what's underneath, and that creates more
exactly.
layers. And I love like doing glazes, like getting a baby wipe or a wet cloth and then just glazing the work to kind of, you just get that hue of the paint, like, but it just is very transparent, and that adds like a different effect and a different layer. And I love that. And I think those are the things yes, you can try them on canvases and stuff, but you don't, do you? Because you feel like that's a more precious substrate. So I think having the art journal and being able to try all these different things and feel like you can express yourself, it doesn't matter, you can leave it, it's not permanent, you can come back to it. It's just so freeing and like,
Yeah. But there's always another page, right?
yeah,
So it doesn't matter if this one didn't turn out exactly as you thought it might. You'll learn a lot from every single page, and there's always another day and another page.
yeah.
So there's no mistakes, literally.
No mistakes. And that's the biggest thing to learn, really, isn't it?
Mm,
There's no
yeah.
mistake. Just express yourself freely, enjoy it. And you see your style and your voice like emerging, I think,
Oh
through
yeah, for
through
sure.
art
Mm,
journaling. And I think you can look
mm,
back and like, especially with my work now and like with each other's, we could potentially create from the same thing. I think we've said this before, but like our pages would be so different. And you'd know whose is whose because it's
yeah.
just our style, like it just shows through. Like you can't I think we were doing that with something and we were kind of doing like a bit of a step by step and we were using like stencils, and I love the way you use stencils. Like I just feel like your layers are just so beautiful and they like blend into each other, and I find that quite hard to achieve, but I can do it using Procreate and doing it digitally.
Mm,
For some reason, like, I
yeah.
find it a lot easier to kind of get that effect. But like we were doing the same thing and it was just so obvious, like, if you looked at the two of them together, whose was whose, it was just our style. So yeah, I think it's a good way to kind of help your styles emerge and see like because you just know what you like and that's all it's about, isn't it? What you like and what you don't like and figuring that out.
Absolutely. Exactly. Exactly. That's all it is about, really, and that's really well put, because it's equally important to know what you dislike. Then you know that, okay, I'm going to avoid that thing and I'm going to focus on this thing because that's what I love to do. But you wouldn't know unless you try things out. So it's really important just to spend the time and show up and
Yeah.
enjoy. Not make it a chore, but actually make it a treat. You get to have that 10-15 minutes a day at your desk, and you know what a lovely gift to give to yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm,
100%. And I also love that because what you said, it doesn't just apply to the art, showing up and learning what you like and what you don't like. It also kind of applies like with how you show up. So like for example with me, like I tried YouTube for so long and I just found it such a slog. But yeah, with the podcast, even though it's hard work, I absolutely love it. Like I get so energized from talking to people. I really enjoy the conversation. Apparently I love talking and I love the sound of my own voice, which who knew? I said that to Alice. I was like, who knew? But had I not have tried it, I wouldn't have known. And it's like the same with you. We've had this discussion about you doing the courses and now you've got the membership. It's like it just feels right for you. But yet there's such a like barrier to doing it and to showing up because we're so sort of nervous and scared to put ourselves out there or to try something. But actually we've both tried things. Not to say they've failed. They have worked, but it's maybe just like seeing what do you like because that's what you're passionate about. That's what then will like drive forward because you love it so much and you don't find it a chore, but you have to try the things to find what that is. And it's the same with the art, isn't it?
exactly. It's exactly the same, isn't it? And you have to test things out and see what you enjoy, not necessarily what works, because something
Yeah,
might work and you're not really enjoying it. Then is it worthwhile doing it? Probably not.
exactly.
So then you can find something that you actually enjoy and what works. We get the both of the sort of, I guess, how would you say that? Best of both worlds, I
Yeah,
suppose, if you can.
yeah,
Yeah.
benefits of both.
Yeah, exactly. And if you told me a year ago that I would have a membership in the summer of 2025, I would have laughed at your face. Not possible. Never would I do such a thing. And it's the visibility practice, isn't it? We've been doing it together for a long time now, and I feel like I'm finally becoming a bit more comfortable being in front of the camera slowly, baby steps, and inside the community. It's just been incredible for me as well,
Yeah,
hosting the whole experience. Like, I've absolutely loved it. And like you're saying, I think it's the right thing for me, and I love my course, and that will come again. But the membership feels like, I don't know, it feels just right. It really does, and I've loved the really gentle rhythm so far that we've had, these little sparks of creativity throughout the month, and it keeps me going as well. Seeing everyone posting in the group and seeing them inspired inspires me. So it's like this beautiful loop,
yeah.
like inspiration just swirling around, and
And I
I've
think
loved it so much.
yeah, and the key there is when you said like it was just gentle, like it's just a gentle, slow kind of entrance into you starting it. You just started it really gently, and the people in there are really gentle, and it's just like beautiful. And the fact that you feel that way about it, that's who you are. Like we're both like that. We've said that quite a lot, openly. We are quieter, slower, we procrastinate, it takes time, and we've had to start learning to be okay with that and actually like not compare ourselves to other people who are louder, quicker, who've got there sooner. It doesn't really matter. Actually, we're showing up in our own time. We're seeing what we enjoy. We're moving through things, trying different things. And then when you find the thing that works, it's like you say, like it's just incredible and you just enjoy it so much. And you just got to keep kind of trying different things. And I love that, your membership does feel like a gentle place because that's who you are. And so I think for a long time we felt that that wasn't right and that
Yeah,
people wouldn't want that. But it makes sense that if we want that, other people will be the same. So
yeah,
I think there's a huge learning that we've both been on and are still on, obviously. But, it is so important to say that we have worked on our visibility together,
yeah,
and it's not something that we feel comfortable doing, even though to other people we might seem really confident. It is not the case. We're just keeping working on it, keep practicing, showing up. And I think having the support of each other and the people around us makes it possible to do it. And I think it's just an
absolutely.
important thing to say.
Yeah. And I could not have done it without you. I've told you this many, many times, if not daily. I feel like I keep repeating
Same.
it constantly because I
Yeah.
just, I just could not have done it. You need people in your corner, and I think these creative communities give you that. So it's
Yeah.
really important to not be alone and join a community and create together with people, because that will just feed your creative spark and your inspiration even more, so everyone's going to benefit. And I think, looking at the state of the world, I think we need that sort of positive energy in here, and us creatives are here for it, aren't we? We need
Yeah.
to, I think we owe it to the world to give our inspiration, and positivity, put it out there.
Oh, I love that. That's such a gorgeous place to like wrap up, just give our positive energy and creative energy to the world and to have people. Yeah, I think it is really important to have that place where we can connect, where we can give ourselves a little bit of time, where we can express and create freely and just do something nurturing and something enjoyable for ourselves because we really need that.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly. Yeah.
really,
And when
really
we feel better, the people around us feel better, and I think you'll just multiply. So we can, chime in and maybe make this place a little better.
yeah, our little corner of
Yeah,
the world.
exactly. Yeah, what a
Yeah,
lovely thought that is. I,
that is
I
a
know we
lovely
could just
thought.
chat for hours,
We
so
could, and we have been chatting for about 2 hours.
have we?
No, not quite. But
When we
can you?
started, I'll just
Yeah,
quickly say, when we started, you said that it doesn't have to be long, maybe like half an hour.
I know, I know. I was like, we've already been on call for about an hour. Like, what else are we going to talk about? I'm like, right, we need to. This is going to go on. The editing is going. it's going to go on. So now I don't really need to edit it actually. So that's great.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I would love to just can you tell people just like what your membership is, where they can find out about it, how much it is? Are you taking people now, or is there, a time they can join, just in case anyone is interested in finding out more?
Yeah. So the membership is now available at a founding member rate. So it's the lowest that it'll ever be, and it's €6 a month, which is maybe around five-ish pounds, maybe
Insane value,
per
guys.
month.
Honestly, go get it now while you can because I am mate guys have put the prices up ASAP because it's too cheap.
Yeah,
They
but
take
it's
advantage.
amazing. I felt really good about that price. So I
Good.
think it was the right choice because, I did get a lot of advice against it,
Yeah,
because it is very affordable, but I feel like it's quite important to me at this point to, I don't know, give people that opportunity to
I love
join.
that.
Yeah, so I wanted to feel like an abundant place of creativity at a really affordable rate. That's my dream. So we
I
could,
love that.
have a big community around us, and let's see what happens. It will evolve over time, but at the moment it's €6 and it's called the Mindful Artist Community. And we are all about mindful creating, whatever your substrate might be. I'm all about art journals because I love them, but maybe eventually we'll be creating on canvas and paper and whatever, anything might happen. So every month there's a new dose of inspiration that comes your way. So a video for me, usually maybe a create with me kind of video that you can pop on while you're at your art desk and you feel like you've got that studio buddy with you creating in there. And then we have a community on Facebook where we share the work and support each other. And there's also a monthly co-create on the third Sunday of each month, and we just come together. It's like a creative circle where we chat and create, and everyone works on their own project. So there's no step-by-step tutorials as such. You can obviously always do what I'm doing on the video, but it's more about taking that time to create, because I've noticed that it's something that we sort of push back, don't we? So a lot of other things take priority mostly, and our creativity is something that gets put on the back burner. So this community makes sure that you take that time for yourself and for your creativity and feel a lot better about it. And we've got lots of other little things in there as well. So throughout the month, your creative spark is, it's fueled properly and you can keep creating.
Yeah, lots of treats, but nothing overwhelming. And that's what I think is really important. It's really lovely. It's, the perfect amount of inspiration without being too much. And there's the community element. So there's a lot of support, motivation. Everyone's really lovely in there. And it's just a gorgeous community at the moment.
Absolutely. Fantastic
And
people. Yeah,
it's
absolutely
really, really
brilliant.
nice. So where can people find out more about that? Do they go to your website or?
Yeah. So if you go to my website, you'll see the links there. And the website is kaisahart.com. So that's KAISAHART.com. So heart without the E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll put the links in the notes.
Yeah.
And Instagram, where can people find you on Instagram?
So the handle for that is artist Kaisa Hart. And yeah, I'll be posting in there as well. And you can actually find all the links on Instagram too. So if that's easier, they're
Okay,
there.
perfect. Well, I hope that people will go over. I encourage you to go have a look because it is beautiful. And at the founding price, it's not even a question. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I love
Well,
it.
thank you so much. I've loved
Um,
having you there because you're just incredible. So thanks for having me here again as well on the podcast. It's such a
Thank you.
treat.
Oh, I've enjoyed it so much, and I'm looking forward to. We're planning a Zoom call in your group where I'm going to share some digital techniques on, aren't we? Digital process. So, like similar in the same way as you do it, like just sharing how you can do a few, like create a bit of a journal page with the collage papers that you provide in the membership, and I'm really looking forward to doing that.
That's going to be so good. I'm so excited.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, because there's a few
Yeah.
people. that have started to use Procreate really
Mhm.
recently and would like to know more. So I'm excited to see where that goes because I think that's something that I'd like to pursue as well. So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see if people enjoy it and how it goes.
I
So
know they will.
oh, amazing. Right. Well, if you want to find me, I'm at Art by Liz Ross over on Instagram and Facebook, and my website is artbylizross.com. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope that everybody has enjoyed listening. It's been a real treat having you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so, so wonderful. And I'll speak to you again soon.
See you soon.